Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beat the Banks, our weekly self-custody training community podcast that we do every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, since January 2022. I'm your host, Chris, the DeFi professor, and we've got a really fun little show for you today. We'll have Logan from LF Null on in just a minute to kind of talk on a couple of topics, but today's topic is about how to get into DeFi safely and securely, but we're going to get a little bit of a slant on this by talking about Robinhood and how lots of people are getting robbed in the hood today. Just kidding. Shout out to everyone in the trenches. You may have been having a good or a bad time on Robinhood, depending on how your situation has gone. I'm just sending out the last of the little things to send out. I'll just have to grab my link here for me going live. And thanks to everybody who's watching. Thanks to everybody who's liking, following, and helping us with the algorithm get more people to watch the show. Like as I said, we have been doing this show for a very, very long time, and would love to get this information in the hands of regular, casual users of the internet. Whether it's through their phone, whether it's through the library. The number of people that I see going to the library to use the computer, I had no idea it was that many people, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, but interestingly enough, it's a lot of people. So let me start by just pulling up my screen here. One thing I want to talk about starting off with security is this. So that was my drink. This is a new malware targeting Mac OS users. For many of you who have a Mac Mini for AI or are just using the new MacBook Neo, one thing that we have talked about on this show previously is if you get a hardware wallet, which you should be using for using as your self-custody platform of choice. You should not be using third-party app stores for your hardware. You should be using the place where you should be getting your firmware from the company where you got the device you purchased. That's no different with hardware wallets like a Ledger, like a Trezor wallet, a Tangem wallet. You don't want to go to the Mac apps, the Apple App Store, the Windows Store, stuff like that to get your, or even if you're on Linux, like using a Flatpak or something like that. Now, if the company themselves have created that Flatpak, that's one thing. But we're in an age of supply chain attacks and all kinds of crazy things. You shouldn't be using any of that for stuff like hardware wallets. You should go directly to the company you bought it from, because there are fake apps that can get through. And I know that's shocking, right? It shouldn't be shocking to you, but there are multiple apps that are actually fake apps. So please be very careful with the apps that you put on your systems, especially if you're in a situation where you have a dedicated laptop specifically for investing because you want to sandbox everything, which is probably going to be point number one on staying safe, in this space. And I hear a Logan coming on. Let's get Logan in on the fun. Welcome, Logan from LF Null, melting in the Nebraska heat on today's show.
My goodness, it is hot out there. I ran back in. I am so sorry to be late. It is
No,
not
you're
my
fine.
MO.
Well,
It's good to be here.
I will bring you up to speed on what I was talking about,
Yes,
Logan.
yes. Where are we?
So I was just bringing this part up because we're going to talk about, the importance of how to correctly get into blockchain ecosystems and DeFi safely and securely, and things you should
Yes.
be considering today. But we started off with this specific uh, announcement from Slow Mist, a very long-standing security firm where there's new malware targeting Mac users to steal Telegram accounts, passwords, and crypto. There are multiple people who have had their wallets drained recently due to uh, reasons they can't figure out. Now, I know multiple people. We've had people in our group. We've had people in other groups that I'm a part of that have lost their savings, their money, because they thought that they could go to the Apple App Store or to the Windows Store and just download the app for their hardware wallet. In this case, Ledger Live for a Ledger, or a Trezor Web Suite for Trezor, from the App Store of their operating system of their computer. That is not what you should be doing. You should never be using a third-party app store for stuff like this, because this is a fake Ledger app. In fact, there is a fake was it a fake Ledger app? There's a fake Ledger app up there for nearly a year. They finally took it down after a while, and when enough people lost enough money. So always go to the ledger.com website, go to the trezor.com website, or if you're doing Tangem, check out their website. Keystone, all of those groups, they all have their own websites. Get your firmware directly from them. If they happen to have an actual package on the App Store that they mention on their website, that's different. They should be able to give you a direct link to that regardless. Just be careful out there.
There's a reason you don't buy Nikki shoes. There's a reason you don't buy Coco Channel bags.
Coco Channel.
Like, you can get that stuff from China, but like, imagine if you were driving around in the US and you wanted to go to Walmart, but you ended up at Walmart and they ripped you off on the inside, and they charge you for your stuff, but they don't let you walk out with it. That's basically the same thing we're dealing with, except instead of driving to your local Tagrit instead of Target, you're downloading the Ledger Live instead of the Ledger, and they want
The Ledger
they
Live.
that, so watch out there. There's a lot of people making fake storefronts. It's hard to believe, but that's where we're at.
That is where we're at. The other part too is, never mind. That's the same thing. Did I really just? Ugh, I really hate when I do that. I had another thing I was going to bring up. Let me find that tweet because it's quite important. Give me 1 second while I find that. So what it is that's not it.
And actually,
There is
we've got a couple people tuned in already. Do you guys use anything interesting for your security? Do you guys have any special protocols that you rely on? How tight is your security? I'm really curious to hear.
Yeah.
If you have any secrets, let us know. We'll share them. You can tweet at Crypto Logan with zeros, or you can tweet at Chris here, DeFi Professor. You see it on the screen.
And what we're looking at here specifically is just making sure that you have good, what we call operational security, right? Because that's the biggest key, is having good operational security. This is the tweet. And again, it's not necessarily related. It's more if you have been in DeFi for a minute, you want to be very careful because, again, you need to be revoking approvals right away. And I don't know. Oh my goodness, Ecamm's doing that thing again.
It's got you locked on to the Coin Bureau tweet there.
Yeah.
Oh my god. At least we can't see my hair too well. I'm just going to lean into the full alien guy on History Channel.
Actually, that's my fault. I am on the wrong window.
Oops. Yep, flop it over.
That would be why. That was on the wrong window.
Give me a chance to get the hair done. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, Ecamm is okay. So, let me make this bigger. The reason why we recommend that you revoke your approvals all the time, and this will lead into the overall thing we're talking about today. Someone spent $625 to buy a dead project's governance token and then drain $776,000 from unrevoked wallets. And basically,
Wow.
let me break down what that means. When you're in blockchain ecosystems, because they are trustless and permissionless, the way that it works is that, at least on the EVM side, on the Ethereum side, so anything that's compatible with the Ethereum blockchain, or the Ethereum virtual machine, so layer 2s and stuff like that. Sorry, I just need to cover my legs because they're freezing. Uh, you have to do, your transaction looks like this, regardless if you're depositing or withdrawing. If you properly do, all of your security, it's a two-step process. The first step is a transaction, which is an approval statement. It's an approval command, meaning you're saying, yes, this protocol, because I am self-custodying my assets, I am giving you approval to spend up to a specific amount of the balance of my wallet of a specific token. Unfortunately, before, let's say 2 years ago, that number, if you used MetaMask or some of these other older wallets, was generally unlimited. Now, you could go through and take the time to actually specify how much, but for a lot of people, especially in the world of DeFi summer, they're like, no, you can just get it done. I want to just get it done because I'm in a hurry. I want to make my profit, that type of thing. And then the next step is then the execution step in the smart contract of whatever your transaction is. If you're depositing, same thing. If you're withdrawing, you'll get, unless there's an existing approval step in your wallet, let's say you revoke the approval after some time, then you'll also have to do that again, saying, hey, we need to make sure that we have approval to remove the balance of whatever you have from our contract back out to you. What's the most that we can spend? And this is a very important step. Now, if you're going with Solana, other blockchains that are not necessarily EVM compatible, they will bundle that in with the actual execution step, so that you are implicitly giving them the permission to do so, because that's implied, right? It's a much faster way to do it. It's not necessarily the most, I'm not going to say the word secure, but when it's in two separate steps. That's the way it's always been, right, Logan? As opposed to one step, and that's hopefully the way that the world will work moving forward. Because EIP 7702, which is what came out, I want to say, with Fusaka, the Fusaka Ethereum hard fork. What that did was make more of an effort on the consumer side, where it goes from that two-step process into one. However, not only do wallets have to support it, but blockchains have to support it. And not all of them have moved up to that 7702. In fact, some of them haven't even gone up to EIP 4337, which is the account abstraction one. There's only a couple wallets that truly support 4337, which is kind of crazy, because it's been from 3 years plus since that passed. So regardless,
Slow on the take.
They're slow on the take. But that's exactly why revoking your approvals is extremely important. Now, if you use Rabby like we use, it's already baked into the wallet.
Ex-girlfriend to keep a key to your house.
That's exactly what that means. That's exactly what that means. So if you don't have Rabby wallet because it's just not your bag, which is fine, Rabby is just very easy to use in my personal opinion. With comparison to that, you can go to revoke.cash. You just log in, you just connect your wallet, and then from there, they'll list everything that's there, and then just make sure you revoke as many things as possible so that there is nothing that is awaiting an approval there, or rather that's just hanging around, because that is an open invitation for a protocol to come through and spend up to a specific amount. Now, pardon me.
Or your ex-girlfriend to come take control of one of your previous DAOs looking for revenge. Then getting all the governance tokens and setting up a vote to drain you.
Exactly. I love it. No, that's a great example. That's a fantastic example. The most interesting part about that is that, a lot of people won't realize it, because this is kind of dead and gone. Right? Because they're like, oh, this project doesn't exist anymore. Just because the project doesn't exist anymore doesn't mean that the smart contracts are gone. Remember, guys, for the majority of smart contracts, they are immutable, meaning once they're deployed, they cannot be changed. So there is a chance that that those contracts are still in existence, and that's something that you need to take care of. So revoking approvals will make sure that if somebody gets unauthorized access to a system, that you will be able to. Sorry, one second. I was trying to open my
Yeah. Also, one
Rabby
second,
wallet.
I had to run in here. I didn't even get my lighting going.
No, you're fine. So if you are actually using Rabby, you can do that here under approvals, right where my mouse is. Here it's in the right side of the grid right here. Just clicking on approvals, and then you have the ability to just go through and just revoke things batch across multiple blockchains. Now, if you click on this specific arrow right here, you'll actually get a full page that lists everything here. You can just literally with 2 clicks.
Do you want to be really careful showing that?
It's fine.
Okay.
They're just approvals.
Like a state phrase or something.
No, that'll never be shown. This is just for this
Oh,
wallet.
Chris just got drained.
Don't joke about
Just
that.
that is terrible.
Don't put that in the universe.
This is pure.
Yeah, no, I mean I've been in this space for a very long time. I'm thankful I've never been drained, and knock on wood. And a lot of that is due to just making sure that I'm revoking my approvals regularly. If you leave a position, you should revoke the approval. Now these have been here for a while. It's just hygiene, right? And you can see the revoke trends too in the last 24 hours. People are actually going through and revoking things en masse.
Whoa.
Now, and like I said, let's go with this BNB chain one, a GMGN, which is a really great. I can't really talk about it. Most whales don't want me to talk about this protocol, so I won't. But all you have to do is just revoke. It'll pull up a Rabby wallet window just to sign and confirm. And it's just a transaction that's gasless on the chain that actually just goes to revoke the approval that was already issued. So it's fairly straightforward to do. Again, if you don't want to do that, you can go to revoke.cash and you can do the same thing. It'll just come up with all of these here, right? And it does it based on specific addresses. So I just was on BNB chain. I don't think I have any here, but
Yeah, we like to say, own your own keys. Otherwise, you don't own the funds. This is kind of a similar deal. Except it's like mind the back door.
Well, what it does is it just takes the keys that you have given to these protocols and it just melts them away. Right. So that no one can.
Extra girlfriend's key that you finally get back.
Exactly. You're not changing the locks. You're just melting the keys and taking them away. So that's probably the best way to think about it. Thank you for that, Logan.
It's a good metaphor.
Yeah, it's a good metaphor. And so that's one thing you want to make sure you're doing. So with regards to, making sure that well, let's see, how do I want to tie this in? You want to revoke your approvals. And then the other thing I think that you should be doing on a yearly basis is rotating all your wallets. It's a little complicated in this world now, Logan, thanks to things like Privy and Dynamic, where you can create a wallet with an email address. You can create a wallet with a social login. It's getting it kind of mucks up the swamp if I want to make that example, because now you can go fishing with multiple rods, or you have multiple nets to help catch your fish, right? And you don't have to do seed phrases anymore. That's the other thing that's interesting about this, is that now you can have a variety of different wallets, which is good because it allows you to compartmentalize and put sandboxes around all the things you're doing. So, let's say I'm on one platform and I have to create a new wallet, using either I can connect a wallet or create a new one based off of an email, based off of whatever. I may choose to do that because I'll just use a throwaway email here. And then from there, make sure that that's an email that's only tied to that protocol. That's probably a new OPSEC thing that most people don't realize, is that you can just create an email that you will only use for a specific protocol. Use it only for that. That way you can just contain any chaos that's there. It's also not going to be in with all of your funds, right? Because you're not You're not tying it to a wallet you'd be using often. It's a separate wallet. Then you can just easily just um, you can just put money into that, right? One of my it kind of mirrors something that's one of my favorite things to do, and it's called privacy.com. Have you used privacy.com?
I haven't. Tell me about it. I've learned about it a little bit because I know you brought it up and it was really interesting to me. It's
Yeah,
kind
so
of a new.
they're virtual debit cards is what they are. And they can be either single use. They're mainly single use unless you get a merchant locked card or a cat I haven't tried the category locked ones, but the merchant locked cards is it's just a virtual card that the moment you use it with a business, it's locked to just that merchant. You can only use it there. Same thing with the
So if
single
you need
use
like your
cards.
Adobe Photoshop account, you
Yep.
can go in there with a privacy card because Adobe's terrible. They'll never
Mhm.
let go of your card. They leak the details. They're like, "Oops, we lost all your data." It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't care. Like you lost the privacy card.
And you
It's
can
hard data. It's wonderful.
you can set spending limits much like these approvals, right? So that part's good. That's the part that I really like about that. uh, it gives you an interface to manage all of these cards, which is the one thing with some of these new these virtual wallets through Privy or Dynamic you don't get to do necessarily. You can do it now on Rabby. You can connect all of those wallets to Rabby and then manage Dust that way. I haven't done that at all actually. So I need to actually jump into that. But much like using virtual wallets, the virtual cards is very much on that same plane of thought because they're going to be highly encrypted. They're specialized use, and again, you're making sure that you have compartmentalized the risk on what you're doing to just one wallet. Um, Jupiter had something called Ape on Solana, where it was a smart contract vault, where you can actually interact with all of the meme coins in the launchpad there, but it's with a separate wallet that you have to manually fund. Hyperliquid's the same way. You have, even though you want to go trade on there, you are asked to create a perps account that you send money to from Arbitrum to fund that. So, again, it's just another way to help compartmentalize that risk. So if something happens, it doesn't bleed out into the rest of your wallet, which you don't want. You want to be able to, have those sub accounts as you need to. And I know for some people that might be too much. That's like a bridge too far. But in a world of self custody where you're controlling your assets, it's such a big power, it's such a powerful thing that you can have.
Well, the
Let's
beauty
see.
is you don't even need to do it if you know about the right services, like Chris is saying. Like you can
Exactly.
go and do this sex stuff and like keep a spreadsheet and be like, did I rotate my blah blah blah? Did I need a new wallet today? We're getting to the point where having like a single number to identify a thing is becoming an attack vector. And
Yes.
so if you look at the trend across a bunch of different areas, it's like even logging into stuff. It's like the 2FA, they want to send a message to your phone and now they need your thumb. It's because hacking is getting so advanced that we are needing to come up with entirely novel security protocols. And I won't go off on the quantum stuff, but that feeds into it. And so over the next few years, there is going to be a new way. Security is changing. This is not something anybody really wants, but it's what's happening. It's a sign of the times. It's like when they went from wooden keys to metal keys. Now we're just going from physical to digital, and the keys now rotate. It's not a static key. It's like the teeth are constantly shifting.
Yeah. I mean, I was like processing that. I'm like, wow, I guess I guess they did have wooden keys back then, or maybe
If we went
sometime.
into the history of keys and security, it's really fascinating how they kept people out or in through history. And there's some very novel engineering. You go back way in time where it's like, hey, I want to make sure my neighbor doesn't steal my grains in the night. They make a little wooden like card that slides in. It has little slots. It's a key. And at some point, like someone came along and they started doing metal work. It's like, I guess I can't. That poor wooden key maker went out of business. And he's like, oh, these darn metal keys! And now we're swearing again. The echo through time of a wooden key maker now in the 21st century as we we curse the rotating passwords and wallet numbers. But it's the march of technology and progress and time. And when we get it done right, you won't have to think about it again. It'll probably be easier than even the wooden key.
Exactly. So
Hopefully.
we kind of went around the back side of the building to kind of talk a little bit about this, but I want to go back to the front side of the building because right now the probably the hottest property in all of crypto and blockchain right now is going to be Robinhood. Right.
Oh yeah.
Robinhood, they stealth launched the chain technically on the 1st of July, but it's been operational, open to multiple people since, let's call it, the 8th of July. So it's less than really 2 weeks. It's roughly about 2 weeks old. Everyone has been going to Robinhood because of things we talked about 2 weeks ago, right? With Cash Cat and some of these other things that are
Yep.
just kind of
Chain.
popping off. So does Robinhood, even though Robinhood is right now just like a huge meme coin launchpad factory, what I will say is that they're looking. Well, this is what Vlad Tenev, the CEO, has mentioned. He wants Robinhood to become the ultimate place to trade real world assets, RWAs.
Oh,
Right, and I'm just like, yeah, everybody's looking to do that, Vlad. But regardless, this is a very interesting infographic, right? Earn an estimated 7% APY, lending USDG, which is Paxos's global dollar consortium backed USDG stablecoin, which is backed by RWAs for the most part. You can lend and earn earn an estimated 7%, right? There's an on-chain lending disclosure. If you click on that, you'll say estimated APY is variable and subject to change. On-chain lending takes place through your self-custody wallet via Morpho's lending protocol. Not a shock
boy.
there. By the way, Coinbase also uses Morpho on Base. Now they're using Morpho specifically on the Robinhood chain, which is also called Lighter. So if you hear the word Robinhood Lighter, that's what that means. It's an independent third-party protocol. Your self-custody wallet is managed by you through services provided by Robinhood Non-Custodial Limited, international company, and Privy. Why? Because the Clarity Act has not been passed. So, Privy we just talked about as a way to get an on-chain wallet using various things. So this is creating a wallet for you and funding it using funds you have approved Robinhood to put through for that. On-chain lending is not available in all jurisdictions. We're not going to open that because you may be surprised at which ones are not allowed.
And I will scream. I will get really angry. Something tells me if I see that list, I'm going to get really mad.
So, with that said, people are asking, well, what's Morpho? Morpho is a lending vault protocol that it's available on multiple blockchains. Let me clear it so you can see all of them. And they had mentioned up to 7%, right? We can do way better than that, if I'm being very honest. Currently, I would not touch this Alpha USDT Prime, DT Prime on HyperEVM, but this Juno MXNB, is that Mexican peso?
Wow.
MXNB, I believe, is the Mexican peso. It's a digital digital Mexican peso.
Digital stable peso.
Correct, pegged to the value of whatever
A peso
one
is
Mexican peso is.
wild.
It's Gauntlet. So Gauntlet is a well respected vault manager. We call a risk curator. In this case, 17%, almost 18%. But one thing to note: there's only 210,000 deposits in 210,000 in deposits in this, with roughly not a ton of liquidity. So it's new. Oh, that's MXNB. The exposure here is USDC and CB. No, it's just USDC mainly. Regardless, there are multiple groups here that have different types of deposits available that can get you much better than 7%. Now, if I just isolate the Robinhood chain, which is where this vault for Robinhood Earn is at, they said an estimated 7%. The number is closer to 2.5 because it's curated by Stakehouse Financial, another good one. Plenty of money in there, 122 million in deposits, liquidity at 41.7 with the exposure to all of these different groups. Interesting to see exactly what the groups are. Athena, which is USD from Dragonfly, is the largest, and then Syrup, which is from Maple Finance, which is an institutional RWA USDG product. When did they do that? And then Sparks USDG looks like. So this is all based off of USDG for the majority of the money. I mean, there's a mountain of money in here earning 2.5% roughly. So what does that also tell you? Most likely this 7% is driven by a lot of incentives. So if I just go to
That estimated is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
it is right, because Aave also has this. Are they back to 9%? They're they went
Doesn't
from
feel like that's awesome.
they went well.
Better.
Here's the thing. Here's it's 5% guaranteed plus boosts,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
So it's incentives based.
DeFi.
But it's not. It's a mind-numbing number, right? Because I can tell you, my checking account 0, my savings account 0.025%.
Right, relative.
Yeah,
But
most
relative
banks like
to
fintech will, yeah, it's not good, right? Fintech, which is using something that uses some interesting black magic under the box, 3.75. It's a lot more transparent down here, at least. Is there still a trust commodity factor? Yes. We do have most of our single-sided supply now at risk curators as a yellow instead of a green in terms of our stoplight, our traffic light system for measuring risk, just because of things that can happen behind the scenes that can, one thing that you have when you have something like this, guys, is something we call counterparty risk. The idea that if something happens to the counterparty taking the trades against your capital, it could cause bad things. I mean, you could be left holding the bag. And that's the counterparty risk. Like if I go to, let's just use Wells Fargo as an example, and put my money in Wells Fargo. Yes, I could be making a specific amount, maybe on a money market account, like 0.25% if I give them $2,500 or whatever. But I'm also under the constant worry that what if something happens to Wells Fargo? Now, granted, they're one of those TBTFs, too big to fail banks, but let's just say that they weren't. Let's say I just go to
what's Wells Fargo going to do to me? But yeah, same thing.
Let's just say I go to Bob and Sons Bank, a community-owned bank down the street.
That one's better.
You don't know what could happen to that bank, right? That is counterparty risk in itself. It's like you're giving your money to a business on the sole premise that they will be there to hold on to your investment and give you those returns. I mean, how many of these quote unquote investment shops have come through and had to close their doors because they couldn't actually give you your money back based on what you gave to them on the premise they were going to make you a lot of money, right? There's a lot of people selling you that type of stuff. So that's part of it too. That's why DeFi is appealing, because you're in a stage where you get a much larger piece of that pie. And especially in the case of Aave, there's no FDIC down in blockchain, but they are guaranteeing, where is it? Did they take it away?
Uh-oh.
Did they take it away? They had a fund here. Oh, balance protection. Where is the balance protection? Up to $1 million is what it's supposed to be.
That's pretty good.
Well, $250K from the FDIC, right? So it's way more than that. I'll have to look for it.
Yeah. Looks like they covered it up.
Yeah,
maybe it's not like a main feature for a lot of people. A lot of the folks that come into blockchain and crypto aren't exactly security first folks.
They're not. And to be fair, and this has been the problem we've had, is like, yes, self-custody is important. You want to be able to control your own funds. It's not the easiest road to get there, if we're being very honest, right? That's been the problem overall, specifically for DeFi, is that it's just not simple enough that I can just have my grandmother use it. Now it's getting there, right? Thanks to Privy, where you just have an account just automatically made for you based off of an email or something like that, or a social login. But let me just, I have regenerated this interesting graphic on how you get to a blockchain from your bank account or your brokerage account, whichever. And essentially, this is still how it works, right? You have a bank account that has money in it in a certain local fiat currency. You have automated clearinghouses and wire transfers to deposit money into that. From there, there are other ways, but you still need a centralized exchange. Now, shout out to groups like MoonPay and groups like that they're doing it without needing that, like Stripe as well as crypto.link.com. As a way you can get into a wallet or send money to a wallet without needing to go through a centralized exchange. But unfortunately, with those, unless that's changed, you need to both KYC a lot more regularly. Plus, they charge a unfortunate amount of fees. Right? That's just kind of the nature of the beast. You want to get there now, you're going to have to provide your KYC info and pay, let's just call it 4% in fees. CEXs like Coinbase, like Robinhood, Kraken, Crypto.com, definitely not as much of a hurdle, but if you deposit money, they are going to wait. And let's say you deposit your money and you buy some ETH or you buy some USDC. They are going to make you wait until that money clears, and yay banks, 3 to 5 business days before you can actually do anything with that money in terms of removing it from the exchange. Now they'll give you the credit to go and start trading it. Like for example, on Coinbase, you go to Coinbase One and start, trading your face off with their perps or spot markets. But if you actually want to bring it to a digital wallet, such as MetaMask, Trust Wallet, Ledger, Trezor, whatever, you're going to have to wait a specific amount of time before that's available. In fact, Binance US, when they were still like super huge, it used to be a 10 to 14 day wait. And then that was a fun experience to get that down to Binance Smart Chain. Oh man, that was tough. But that process is much faster. And then from there, once you have your digital wallet, in case like I showed, we showed Rabby that's the wallet we recommend for Ethereum virtual machine blockchains. Then you're there. Then you can go between, not necessarily the Bitcoin blockchain, but Solana on certain wallets. You can bridge, you can use all these things and be in the ecosystem. These 3 options here are still pretty friction prone. I don't know how you feel about it, Logan, but I don't think that this particular part of the process still is easy enough for most people. On the Solana side, they're making that a bit easier. Let me give them credit. OKX has a pretty decent experience. Coinbase's wallet is fractured, in my opinion, because they moved to the base app. The base app is fractured. They charge 1% on all spot trades. They actually even just put out a huge request for feedback. They're like, give us even your own brutal thoughts on why you don't use the base app.
I'll give them some brutal thoughts because I've got a couple.
I'm sure you do. But let me just answer that first question. How much easier do you think, 5 years in, 6 years in, has it been for this process to get into a blockchain?
Made leaps and absolute bounds. And I think back to, even a little further than 5-6 years ago when I was buying my first Bitcoin. I used localbitcoins.com.
Okay.
And it was a peer-to-peer service, and that has since been beat up and down and doesn't quite work. But I bought my first Bitcoin under a bridge in Tokyo on a rainy day in the backseat of a car from a Chinese. And I thought he was going to kill me. My girlfriend at the time was waiting, like away from, like under a different bridge, like watching, like waiting for me to get murdered. But that's how we did it in the beginning. And then when I was moving to the United States, I had to use a guy named Vlad in the Philippines and sell him artwork
Yeah.
because a lot of the systems simply weren't in place. And the ones that did exist were going to literally rob you and call it law. Or it's like, well, yeah, it's a transaction fee. I was paying 60% when I moved from Japan to the United States to get my crypto into my dollars. I was paying about 60% in fees by the time I finally got it out. A lot of that goes into U.S. policy. I'll try not to talk about clarity too much here or rag on the U.S. too much here because I love the darn country. But we have made leaps and bounds. Now at least you don't have to look at all the ugly pipes. You don't have to wear a bandana around your face and carry a weapon in your back pocket to go buy a couple dollars of Bitcoin. Now you can, at least my Uncle Joe can navigate the thing, but we still have a ways to go. Um,
We do.
you were talking about earlier with the privacy project, where it's like you get these cycling numbers and you suddenly don't have to think about your credit card number anymore.
Yep.
I think we're going to have the same thing happen in blockchain, where we have these long addresses, and we already have some people that have gotten onto the custom names, but all of
Mhm.
that's going to be pumps in the wall, electrical wires in the wall. No one knows how the lights turn on. No one knows how the hot water gets to their sink faucet. They're not going to know that it's even crypto when it gets to their bank account. They're just going to know that the number went up and that they have money to pay the bills now. And
Yeah.
so we've got another couple years as industry, is the, fintech. Blockchain will just become like finance. There's not going to be a separation between the two, and it'll be normal. But you're not going to be thinking about what chain you're on. You're not going to need to know about wallets really. It's just, you're going to have a digital wallet, but it's not anything like what we've had to deal with the list of 24 random words and the string of 56 numbers and letters or whatever it is. It's just obscene at a certain point. I understand why we haven't had a big rush of Main Street in here. It's just bamboozling. And
Yeah.
so we got another couple years though until institutional money takes over, and it's just like using your bank app. And if your grandma can use that, she can use crypto and she won't know the difference. She might hate
Exactly.
crypto and still use it.
Well, really, I mean, and I'll break it down two ways, right? So, what I want to say first, with regards to the politicizing of all of this, is that to be fair, Clarity is not going to do anything for this, other
Nope.
than set up the rules and the framework to really just make crypto tokens and digital assets legitimate forms of tender in this country. That's really the main reason why Clarity needs to be passed. Is that
Clarity is a
we exactly? You're seeing that Japan just did it. You're seeing that South Korea is on the cusp of doing it, and we can't get it done because ethics. And I get it. I get it. It's just like, so I just saw, and again, by the way, it's been reported. President Trump and his family have made $1.4 billion in crypto. I just have to tell you guys that is a net number. They have purchased way more than $1.4 billion in terms of crypto.
oh,
And I mean, he made $100 million just off those really awful NFTs from like 9 years ago of him. That
oh God, I'm just remembering.
regardless of all that, right? When they
Yeah,
say that it's an ethics issue, that's the problem that they have. The fact that that not only Trump's meme coin with fight, fight, fight on it, and his wife's meme coin, which practically almost nearly killed the entire industry back in January 2025.
I'm a
They,
Melania coin
yeah,
millionaire.
the fact that we even are back at this point is frankly a miracle. Let's be honest. But does Clarity change the majority of this? Honestly, it just defines the rules. They're gonna go back one because let's assume, and I tweeted about this, so you guys can go check that out. Let's assume, because the vote's gonna come out next week. Senator Thune finally got a date on the calendar on the floor to vote on this. Let's say
Okay.
somehow they do something and get it passed. My guess is it goes back. Well, it has to go back down to the House now because, by the way, happy 1 year birthday to the decision on the House to pass the Clarity Act 12 months ago today. So they've
We've
had
got a
12
little
months.
baby Bill.
Mm.
Yep, it's growing up right before our eyes, not going anywhere.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it just needed a simple majority, and it got way more than that. But a lot of things have changed in a year, and with all the Senate Ag language and what was coming out of the Banking Committee language, all that has to come back down to a bill that doesn't look exactly like what they pushed last year. Approve that, and they have to get it done within the 10-day rule, in my opinion, for the recess, right? Because they're going into recess in August. Pardon me, my
It's
allergies are
going to be under
terrible.
the wire.
Can you imagine if they're not within that 10-day window? Let's say they're like within like 9 days of going to recess, so that would be what? Let's just call it next Wednesday. They can't get it, they get it close to being done. They're within the 10-day window. And then President Trump decides, you know what? I'll sign the Clarity Act once you pass the Save America Act. Boom, what happens then? Because he did that with the Housing Affordability Act. But the Housing Affordability Act went through because, it's going through because it was with it, they had more than 10 days before they went to recess. So it was going to go anyway. It's kind of crazy, just all of this that's happening. Now,
You should put that in the poly market.
it's already there. It's already there. But yeah, you're looking right now at a passing rate, right? I think about 36% on Polymarket, which is not good. Will that change any of what we're talking about here on this specific graphic? No. It'll just make it harder for smaller institutions to come in and control this narrative because of the way that this is put together, right? Because there's no specific ruling that can't be just repealed by the next administration should it not be one that favors the same policies as the current one. That's the reason why clarity needs to be passed, to prevent future administrations from coming through and just tearing everything that's been worked on for the last 5 years to shreds. With that said, there's still in my opinion, there's still plenty of time, and there's already set policy decisions from both the CFTC and the SEC, the OCC, and the FDIC to make the reality of having a digital asset-based bank account become a reality. It's all a matter of just who's going to step forward and provide the backing and then have the backstop behind it to make it a reality. What's interesting is that I just saw SBI just backed Ondo with money,
Really?
which is SBI being a Japanese holdings firm.
SBI Holdings is a massive Japanese
Yeah.
company that's been working with Ripple over the past few years. They work with SoftBank. It's I believe it's one of the big 7 in Japan. But
Well, one of the big 3.
Big force. So yeah, SBI.
Yeah, huge, right? So the other reason why the Clarity Act, most people need it to pass, is because it will help push the narrative that the U.S. is the global leader in crypto. If they don't have that, I don't know if they can make that claim, because there are other groups like the EU, even groups like Kazakhstan. Not China doesn't believe in crypto except if you're in Hong Kong, so there's that. But
Bitcoin.
Exactly, make nice.
Make Bitcoin. Oh my god! I can't believe I got to pull out the Borat impression.
A Borat reference.
Yeah, I'm waiting years.
But Japan, I mean, I could do another Sacha Baron Cohen thing. I'm sure that the Republic of Wadia, Aladdin, probably accepts crypto. I mean, it's interesting that probably the most forward crypto nation out there is Switzerland, right? Because you can pay for a majority of municipal services and
not
taxes
El Salvador
with Bitcoin. No, I mean, El Salvador has it as a backup piece of tender, but you can actually pay for things well in Switzerland. You can do so in El Salvador as well, but Switzerland has a much deeper integration. Now, then there are other countries out there that are doing big things, like the Philippines has their treasury on their own private blockchain, and they're working to put more governmental departments behind publicly verifiable, I would say, blockchains.
Everything is and always was blockchain.
Exactly. It's not the most efficient, right? But it's something that, based on the models of what we're looking at, especially in the world of where quantum security is going, in terms of the ability to have things that are immutable, blockchain does provide a very nice alternative. And most people still, even we're 6 years into what I call the major, innovations in blockchain to bring it mainstream, and most people still have no idea this exists. And that's the part that's the most interesting. Some of the most valuable companies in the world are blockchain based, and people they don't know they exist, like Tether. Um, Tether's a bigger thing to national security than people think, guys. They own a ridiculous amount of not just gold, but also U.S. Treasury bills. Now we know that Japan and China own a massive amount. They're like in the top five. What's to stop them from just, you know, calling on their bills for buying those, right? So I mean, I'm not trying to fear program. I'm just telling you there's the truth of economically how things are going, and then there's the performative theater around it. So um, as much as we would love for clarity to pass, I think that the people who are unflippable right now would like that too. The problem is the image of the fact that, the leader of the free world has profited the most off of crypto and is saying the old financial system is broken and everything needs to move to this one. It's a little sketchy. Even if you just commonsensically talk about it, it's not Trump derangement syndrome. It's the fact that he's made so much money off of this. He wants to find out a legal way to make more, and more people in the system to have access also to do that, which mostly is not everyday people that have to go through that,
And
right?
so the whole point of this blockchain experiment was in order to give people who are underserved the same access to the financial tools that us fancy folks here in the West have.
Yep.
Gosh, I remember when we running OpenDAO and I was getting customers from Indonesia and India and Pakistan and people coming in just raking it in because it was the first time in their lives they were actually able to play the game. It was so beautiful. And now that we're letting in the institutional players, they're like, how do we shut the doors on this party? It's like,
Yeah.
hold on. This is not the game we signed up for. And so, again, I'd like to see Clarity Act pass. I'd like to see it become a cornerstone. But at the same time, we do need to remember why we're doing this. It's not just faster money.
Hmm.
It's not just we can get rich. It's not just return on investment. There's something more fundamental about owning your value exchange system and belonging to us. Like that is so fundamental. It's hard for me to stress. A lot of the folks that come into blockchain and they learn about it because one of their cousins or one of their friends did 100x, and so they want a piece of that pie too. I get it.
Exactly. I
I
get
don't like
that.
working 9 to 5, but like it's bigger. It's bigger than that. Come on.
What people need to understand is this section right here. And I guess you can't see my cursor. My apologies. The
Which
the,
one are
the
you pointing at?
blockchain piece. The
The
blockchain
number
piece
4
is,
on the right there.
yeah, number 4. It's the most important because for people who are underserved and don't have the right financial architecture, they have hyperinflationary local fiat currency. They want something that cannot be manipulated or cooked. 4 is like the ultimate unlock to the best type of life possible. You and me, we're in it for the tech. We're hoping that we'll be able to make a good financial return. For people in undervalued countries, number 4 is the ultimate unlock just to a better life for their family. And I think people overlook that a lot. And I've said this a lot on a lot of different podcasts and spaces I've been on for the past 2 months. It's 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 such a different look when you look at it through the eyes of someone who can't properly have proper purchasing power because of the way that their economic or cultural situation is. Blockchain doesn't know tribes, they don't know castes, they don't know working groups. Everyone has access in the world of blockchain. No country owns what can be done in decentralized blockchains. It is anti-fragile, censorship resistant, and something that exudes the spirit of self-custody. So that's something that you
And
need to
speaking of my friends
to
in Nigeria, and
yeah,
when we Americans and some of the Europeans get together to talk about blockchain, you're right. It goes to the tech and like the investment, but I made a lot of Nigerian friends about 6 years ago, and it is so fun to talk to them about blockchain because it's not just, oh, this is a cool hobby. It's It's like, no, it unlocked their whole life. Their whole life is unlocked by this one tech piece where it's like suddenly they discover what it means to be, able to seize their own reality,
Yeah.
to not be locked down by this government currency that's just oppressive. And then they're like, oh, I can do this. I can make a change. Oh, I can be a programmer too. I can make an impact. And so it not only gives them the ability to feed their family, like in a day, like the
Yeah.
airdrops that where we're like, oh yeah, sweet, I'm gonna go get an iPod. They're feeding their family for a couple months on it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can
Or
quit my
more.
crap job.
Yeah.
I can do something meaningful. These people are the brightest lights in the space, uh, and they understand what the tech really is about. And so, if you've
Yeah.
never spoken to someone from Nigeria about blockchain or someone from Southeast Asia, do it.
The global
They,
south, as we like to call them.
sorry,
The global south.
the global south, baby. Hey, y'all.
Different global south.
Oh, sorry.
No, but we're talking about countries that are below the equator,
Yes.
which a lot of them, are the Far East. Far East, Global South, all those countries are they're next up in terms of world economic. We'll just use the word glow up, but transformation. Stuff like this is going to transform their digital economies. It's going to give everyday people the ability to market make, to do a lot of things from a digital standpoint that will be much more efficient and much more worthy of their time than the current system. And if you're tired of having banks or institutions making money off you, this is your turn to figure out a way to be in this society, be in this system, and do well for yourself. I will do this real quick just before we wrap up. One thing that it's important is specifically this bridge piece, right? So if I come back here, this bridge is the most important right now.
It deserves its own number, really.
It does. It does. When it comes to Coinbase, it's fairly easy. I always recommend people always just use USDC. Because it's cheap. Coinbase is a minority owner. Bless you. There's a minority owner in USDC, and it's free to send to just about everything. It's free to send back to Coinbase as well. So USDC, stable coins, always the best thing here. With regards to Robinhood, what you will have to do is you can certainly buy and send crypto places, right? You also have the network that it needs to go to. Now, I don't have a wallet open to show you exactly how that works. We'll work on that. But supported coins, they have a bunch that they support, right? The networks is, and also if you see the address formats for crypto transfers, what we're looking for here is what addresses that they can send to. Now, Bitcoin, they specifically use the newer native SegWit, the BC1Q address, as well as the 1 and the 3, but not the older groups. I would definitely say that. What's another one that's important? Ethereum addresses on ETH mainnet, for the most part, they have multiple coins that can go there, but Arbitrum is probably the one thing that you'll probably want to get to. For me, like I mentioned, Solana also natively supported. You can withdraw money from Robinhood to Solana as long as you have a correct Solana address. But for me, the one that's important is either USDG, which I don't see, but USDC. You can send Arbitrum-based Ethereum Optimism, Polygon, Solana, and native USDC addresses. This is the part that's important because it's easier to get to cross-chain bridges in DeFi by sending to any of these 6 blockchains. The ones I would probably recommend you would withdraw USDC to, just because it's just easier, is Arbitrum, Base, ETH mainnet, and Solana. The other two, give or take. But that would be the easiest thing to do. I don't know about the fees that are specific when doing that, but you will have to. They do have allow listing, so you can whitelist an address. It takes 48 hours for that to happen. So if you decide to allow list a certain address, you're gonna have to wait 2 days before you can actually send that. Yeah, withdrawals are paused. So there is that. And the way around that is something that's behind me over here, which you can't see, which is always send a test transaction. Even now, I've been in crypto since 2011. I still send test transactions because you never know. $5, $2. Make sure it gets to the
I
wallet
think
address
not
that you need to.
send one. It's too scary when you start moving big money around. You don't want to like send it off and like have sweaty, shaky hands for
I've
even a
seen
minute.
someone live send $1 million to the wrong address.
Oh,
I've seen someone send $10,000 in USDC to an AVAX address
fat
for
finger it. Oh my goodness.
yeah, no,
I've
or just not
just
understanding how it works, right? So
fat head.
yeah, these are all things that let me just make sure that if there's processing times, okay, good. So if we go USDC, which is outside of 30 confirmations, 5 minutes for ETH. USDC, I don't see here. It's probably near zero because it's going to use CCTP, which is Circle's transactions. So it should be roughly under 5 minutes that it gets there. Like I said, it's not it doesn't take a long time. Uh, but on Robinhood, that's how you would do it. Coinbase, very similar. Crypto.com, very similar. Although with Crypto.com, you normally have to wait 24 hours after you declare an address for it to be
Validated.
safe, validated. And I don't know if that's still that may have changed, but I'm grandfathered in, so I don't normally have that problem. But I know that newer ones that's generally a 24 to 72 hour process. Binance.com, or rather Binance.us, you still have to wait a while. Kraken, I don't think I think Kraken is fairly instant. I know that Solana you can do right away, Arbitrum you can do right away, but they only support a limited number of blockchains. But they do have their own blockchain called Kraken Inc. or just Inc., which is a layer 2 in the Optimism superchain that can be sent instantly, if I'm not mistaken, and then it's easy to bridge off of Inc. to other blockchains in the EVM ecosystem, or even to Solana using something like Jumper. Anyway, this is like a 6-hour topic, I'll be honest, but overall, just kind of making it very simplified. There really is just 4 things you have to think about. One is just having, where's that money going to come from? 2, how is it going to get into a centralized exchange or other type of digital asset exchange like MoonPay, stuff like that, where they don't have an actual, it's not necessarily a CEX per se, but it's more of a payment pushing interface. Or like you said, P2P process, which is fun because it's like having your own over the counter or OTC desk. And then from there, you just need to receive that money into a digital wallet that's used in blockchains like Rabi. If you're using Solana, like Phantom or Soulflare, or Backpack, shout out to them, or Jupiter Wallet, of course. And then on the EVM side, we recommend Rabi, but there's MetaMask, there's Trust Wallet, there's all kinds of other wallets that are out there. And those are really the two ecosystems we really talk about the most. And then the blockchain, you can then do everything in DeFi and find more of these vaults that are better than what you'll ever get in a bank. And I'm just showing you Morpho just as an example because really that's the one that's currently serving both Robinhood and Coinbase. But there's more out there. So anyway, let me go and give Logan his flowers. And again, privacy.com, guys, if that's something you're looking for on the Web 2 side. There's not necessarily a Web 3 version of this, but there probably will be soon. I mean, they just issue other stuff, but they issue different cards that you can use with your virtual cards. For example, I'll shout out Brahma. Shout out to Brahma. They have swipe.fun in the Arbitrum and Basic. Oh no. Really? What happened? When did that happen? Brahma is now a HyperFi? Well, no, HyperFi was looking to do it. Okay, cool. So Brahma got acquired by Polymarket. Well, so much for that. I should have did that on the TVL show. Shout out to Andrew and HyperFi. Great team. They have these cards. HyperFi is a lending market, a lending AMM on Hyper EVM. So we'll have to unpack that a different day. Anyway, thanks Logan for being here.
My
CEO
pleasure.
of LF Null. Tell the people.
That's right. We're working on the Hawk right now. It's a new type of mouse. It looks like this.
Yes, sir.
Pretty sweet. It's a ring mouse. And by the way, not for this show, but I want to make sure that everyone is tuning in. And I've got a couple gifts, and so on one of the next episodes where I come to visit, I've got a Trezor wallet to give away, and I also have a Trezor wallet to give away. If anyone is interested in upping their security, I think on one of the upcoming shows we'll send one of those out.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to think about that. Appreciate you
I'm
even.
gonna talk to. I inappropriately brought that up, everyone. But I will probably have a giveaway at some point and call
Very
upon
nice.
Chris to come and knight one of his fans to send that away to, and I will go and ship it directly. But
That's very kind. Thank you, sir.
just so you
That's
know,
very kind. Thank you so much. Let
my
the people know where
pleasure.
they can find you, sir.
Yeah, I'm Crypto Logan on Twitter. That's Crypto Logan with zeros instead of O's. So Crypt0L0GAN, if you want to spell it out properly. And then, yeah, I'm loganfulcher.com if you like art, and then LF Knoll if you like tech. And then, of course, make sure you're following Chris because Chris and I are always working on causing a little bit of local trouble. We're talking
Always.
about some blockchain farmers market stuff going.
Ooh.
We're just if it's shenanigans, Chris and I got our hands in it, so you better keep your eye on the channel so that you get a piece.
Absolutely. And Wednesday, I believe Logan's due to be back on the show
I'll be
for
quite happy.
our Total Value Lock podcast. So
Right.
happy to have him there. That'll be next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We do that show every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I have since December 2021. This show, Beat the Banks, where you can talk about self-custody. And we talked about self-hosting last week. Today, we're talking about how to actually get into blockchain ecosystems if you haven't done that before. Staying safe. Hopefully you found great value in that. Please like, follow, subscribe, help us with the algorithm. We're always looking to make new milestones and just do really great things with the show. If you want to invite us out to something that you're building in terms of like helping get more awareness for digital assets, please feel free to reach out. Always happy to help. And we'll see you next Friday for another Beat the Banks again,
Always
3
love
p.m.
boosting
Eastern.
the community.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
everyone.
Thanks again, Logan, for showing up on short notice and helping me. I can't believe I've never used the ex-girlfriend reference. That's our ex-boyfriend. I'm sure either way, having a key to
Yeah, hey,
your
whatever
house.
floats your boat. Whoever has the key to your house, you got to get
You
it
never,
back.
yeah, exactly,
And if you're tuning in
exactly.
late, you are going to need to go back to the beginning of the episode to really understand that.
You can find all that on the socials. Anyway, with that said, take care, everybody. Keep beating those banks. Beacons up, banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.